by the way.
No. I didn't either. Somebody got ghosted there, though.
Comes with the territory.
Sure. He's in, it's business time right now. Office hours are on.
It was interesting. Hideki talked about how one of the biggest things that he's having to deal with now is telling people no. And when you're at the level of these guys, everybody wants a piece of your time. I mean,
Sure.
Every text, every phone call, every email, almost every one of them is inevitably going to be an ask.
Yes.
Right? For your time, for a signed flag, something. And you have to say no a lot.
Yes, you do. You have to have a good agent that knows, I can't even take this to Hideki. The answer's going to be no. He's got things to do. So, you know, a lot of times the agent or manager has to be the bad guy. But there aren't enough hours in the day to fulfill all the requests that are going to come his way and have come his way.
But with that come all the trappings. You wonder how Ben Hogan would have handled the media crush of today.
He wouldn't have liked it.
Wouldn't have liked it.
He wouldn't have liked it.
But he might have liked the FedEx Cup.
Oh, I'm sure.
And all that comes with it.
Well, you know, growing up with Arnold Palmer and the way he handled the whole thing, and he had to say no a lot, but
Next up, from Australia, welcome, Cameron Percy.
There's a talent to it, a way to do it.
Just saw Johnson Wagner, who made the cut. The big week for him, hasn't gotten many starts, so again, trying to collect as many FedEx Cup points as possible to climb his way up, that potentially get to the top 125, but at least 150. He's a past champion, but as you know, being in the past champions category, it doesn't always equate to a bunch of starts.
No, it doesn't, and it actually it equates to a lot of maybes. Well, I'm close. I'm fifth alternate. I'm sixth alternate. Maybe if some people withdraw, maybe if I go on site, there'll be some withdrawals, but it's a tough position to be in, really is. There's the old saying on tour, though, if you don't like something, there's always an answer. It's always the same. Play better.
I love that one.
So if you play better, it takes care of any issues you have.
All right, let's see this early stroke from Will.
It looks smooth on the putting green. It looked okay. Ow. A little more speed. Seeing a few of these players. Justin Rose was the first. See how his shirt's still tucked under his left arm? That's kind of starting to release. Cameron Champ does the same. Justin Rose was the one that started it. Strange little move there, but a good reminder for them.
Second hole is right in the middle, pretty much. Playing basically a 10th of a shot under par.
A lot of birdies have been made these first two rounds.
Our man on the ground, Phil Blackmore, he's going to be going out with that DeChambeau group. I'm curious to see if there's any wind going, because right now it just kind of looks like the trees are stretching, starting to whistle around a little bit, but nothing that in Texas you would call wind.
Right, not anything that would get the local meteorologist excited.
Well, Ned, I just happen to be right here on the range, and there is a pretty good little breeze blowing. It's not a wind, but it's a good steady breeze, probably 8-10 miles an hour. It's supposed to pick up by about 10 to 11 o'clock. It's supposed to pick up more in the 10 to 18 range, and so it's starting to work that way. Same direction as yesterday.
When does, let's watch Hideki first, but I'll ask you, when does a breeze officially become a wind?
9 miles an hour, 9 to 10. That's just a guess.
When you have to change clubs from what you normally would hit or alter your trajectory.
Another.
It's actually really interesting.
I'm gonna. in the back of my mind, in those, those old filing cabinet in your brain, I feel like there is a study done out of the bunker where there is a club with no grooves whatsoever.
They've done this, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm right, and it was no different.
Well, out of the bunker, they did the study. I don't remember the results per se because they did it around the green.
Study.
Launches higher because it's not friction, less spin, but it doesn't make a huge difference in performance.
Out of the bunker especially. Yeah, well, 100%. Johnson looking very Christmassy with the green and red.
A little bit of a hanging lie here. Has to be careful, likes to play that trappy draw.
I like the hat.
That looks like a wind now.
That is a win. When your shirt's moving, there's another thing that's kind of come from breeze to wind.
Kind of an innocuous hole this second, but if you fall asleep, it'll grab you. Top tracer likes it.
I like it. Gorgeous. A good bounce forward. Nice aggressive shot. A little bit of a good break. It didn't have to bounce forward like that.
This is a squirrely looking little lie, isn't it?
This looks like flyer all over it. You know, when you get a little bit of brown and it's sitting about halfway. It's not all the way down. It's halfway down. Kind of sparse rough. That's when you can get just some ugliness as far as flyers go. Sort of like that.
And he was playing it safe. You can see he was headed out to the left.
Absolutely. Trying to go up the middle, and you just, there's a skill to learning when you're going to hit flyers and playing around it, but there's still guesswork. Even the best. There's still an amount of guesswork, and that one was just misguessed.
Well, because you couldn't imagine hitting pitching wedge from there, right? But
that's it too.
Because you hit the wedge and then you don't get the flyer, you're 30 yards short.
But 30 yards short's an easier up and down than where he's has it over the green with little to work with.
So, mentioned Scott Fawcett, who works with Will Zalatorisd, a decade golf, on course management. And Scott has known Will all the way back to 9 years old. They started as friendship, kind of a mentor. He was a good player, a professional golfer, was Scott. And at Bentry, when Will moved to Dallas, he has now started working with Cameron Percy. And you can pinpoint when they started working together just by the kind of the resurrection of Cameron Percy's performance here out on tour. And Cameron's not the longest guy anymore, so he really has to understand his game and where to hit it, and to your point, more importantly, where to miss it.
It's another example of checking all boxes to be as good as you possibly can, because the talent and the competition is so tight out there. And you know, who would have thought about a course management coach, but that's essentially what this is. And I haven't learned as much about it as I should yet, not to apply it to my own game because I don't care a whole lot, but still as an analyst, I should learn a little more about this. Oh, Oppenheim. Played a lot of golf with Rob. Orlando guy.
I heard somebody call him a journeyman
From
the other
Beaufort,
day.
South Carolina, Mark Anderson.
That term, some people kind of find it a little offensive.
Yeah.
I think it's a heck of a deal. I mean, so we mentioned earlier the one win I've got. I'm more proud, frankly, of 10 straight years on tour without losing my card than I am of the win. Because one hot week doesn't really justify a career. 10 years, that's kind of a career. You know, that to me that's a more of a journeyman type of career, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, good drive there, Mark.
I wouldn't call 10 years on tour a journeyman. And I wouldn't, that's what I was going to say. Rob, to me, isn't a journeyman. He's just a tour player who's been close to winning and had some good chances. And he's been back and forth a
Lost his
little
card, gotten his card, lost his card, gotten his card. Yeah, he's...
Matsuyama, that is a familiar refrain that we saw yesterday. Just hasn't been able to knock those in. He had 2 putters out on the practice green this morning, if you're just joining us.
He grabbed the wrong one.
I think he went with a different one. I thought the grip yesterday had some cord in it. So Zalatorisd, meanwhile, he's waiting on a ruling. He's back here up against the shot link tower.
Line of sight relief, definitely going to get it. Oh, the soon-to-be retired Slugger White. Good to see him.
That's a saunter right there.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, a great rules official. I can tell you with 100% certainty, and not that I think I was a bad guy, that I did not appreciate the work of guys like Slugger when I was playing as much as I should have. You know, you're too apt to, who set this whole location or who made this decision? Those guys, the rules staff, they're the first ones there, they're the last ones to leave every day. They're, they're showing up, a handful of them at tournaments a month before, 2 weeks before to make sure everything's in order. It's a very hard, very thankless job. So, thanks a lot, Slugger, and happy soon-to-be retirement.
And when you say first one's there, you mean it.
I mean it.
4 a.m.
I mean, yes, way before the sun comes up. They're there a lot of times before the maintenance crew gets there to start mowing the greens and raking the bunkers.
And that's kind of juicy looking.
That is really, really good. Really well done. There's very much like the second shot where I go, it's a lot of guesswork, not a lot of control. Same with that lie he had there. It's not that you can control it the way you would a normal chip. There's a little bit of guesswork involved because there's going to be an amount of grass that gets between the ball and the club face. So you just have to kind of rely on experience and commitment. It was really well done, and this is one of those putts. Hideki and Will both really fought this club the first 2 days.
You know, one thing that I love about this game of golf is whether you're playing on the PGA Tour or whether you're playing at your home country club or whether you're like our buddies right now, Richard Davies, who is playing in an amateur event down in Florida.
Playing with my buddy John Robinson from Hilton Head.
The nerves are the same, right?
Actually, it's worse because these guys have no idea what they're doing. Zalatorisd and Matsuyama, they know what they're doing. Our buddies, they got no clue.
They know it's going left or right. That's all they know. And this range doesn't scare the amateurs. It's probably like maybe a foot closer. That really gets the amateurs.
Right, because you start thinking, I'm supposed to make this, and I'm going to look like a fool if I don't. Okay. You just
good save back on the second for par. Zalatorisd plugging in at the third.
They're just a position hole off the tee. We saw a lot of 3-woods the first 2 days. Today, going with the iron, and that is just, well, if I were Ian Baker Finch, our old buddy, I would say that's the mayor's office. But I'm not, so I won't.
You are Robert Dameron?
I think so. Who's asking?
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy?
Hideki. What would be a good score that you'd walk off with today, and at 600 making the cut on the number that you would be happy with?
12. 6 today. That's not going to put you in a spot to really, you've got to go 10 today if you think I've got some kind of chance to maybe get this trophy. It's unrealistic, but occasionally someone does make a cut on the number and win. It doesn't happen often.
You know,
it does happen.
Our research department is going to hate us because we're already asking all these tough questions. Sand saved Luke Donald from 06, and now who's made the cut on the number?
Ben Crane did, I know.
And then went on to win.
1 year. I feel like it was Atlanta.
I know in the Korn Ferry Tour, I thought he had it. Lonto Griffin played in Nashville. It was a really cool story, actually. He only had $95 left in his bank account. Showed up in Nashville. He basically said, I'm going to play this event and then my career's over. He made the cut on the number and then he went on to win the event. And it literally changed the course of his career. He came back the following year and finished second in Nashville. And of course, now he's a winner on the PGA Tour. So you never know. That's why making the cut, just making that birdie this week on 18 or 9, whatever your final hole was, and getting in at 6 under, you just never know what can happen.
It seems like destiny.
At 192 right now in the FedEx Cup race, Mark Anderson needs a big weekend.
We can put Mark also in that journeyman category, on and off, back and forth between Korn Ferry and PGA Tour.
Played in 13 events, made 5 of the cuts, but he got on a really rough stretch from
roll, and that's how you know if you've kind of cracked it and caved it in a little bit. Bryson obviously was concerned about it.
Good one from Matsuyama, keeping it below the hole. Greens are so pure this week, but they're not crazy fast. You don't have to be all that hyper concerned about being above the hole.
They're sloped, but not slopey. They're not, Oakmont. There's just enough to be interesting, but not enough. You're right. There's nowhere on this course where you say, oh boy, I'm above the hole putting. This is going to be really dangerous.
Back to the first tee, Jonathan Vegas.
Bigger hands, Finau or Vegas?
Finau, but it's close.
It's close. Finau might be a little skinnier, though.
Finau makes the golf club look like a toothpick.
Yes, he does.
Johnny's been here a time or two before. He's played this event 5 times. He's made the cut every time, but his best finish 35th. And just a reminder to new viewers, this is a new golf course to the PGA Tour, this TPC Craig Ranch, making its PGA Tour debut. Tom Weiskopf design. It's a long, big golf course, very Texan of it. .7468, that's the yardage today.
Looked a touch left off the face. I don't think that was as much a misread as just starting it offline slightly. Maybe we're being hyper sensitive to each putt because we know he's not putting very well. But not that that was a bad putt by any stretch, but we're kind of waiting for something to kick in, some good putt to finally go in and getting a little bit of momentum going. And see the trees behind Will right now? Our man, Mr. Blackmar's right. This is a wind.
So we were joking about when does the breeze become a wind? Thinking about when you had 2 putters in your bag playing that Saturday round. You said you used one for long putts and one for short putts. What was the turnover point?
Kind of kick-ins are actually, let's say 5-6 feet. Not kick-ins, but ones that you know that you're supposed to make.
That was when you go to, was it a shorter putter?
It was a shorter putter.
Yeah.
It was. One was longer and a little more open to closed for long putts, and I tried to go very square to square, very Dave Pell's method on my makeable putts.
Well, we're fortunate to have short game chef with us, Parker McLaughlin.
Yeah.
He's the 4th member of our team this week, and a short game guru, a PGA Tour winner himself. And I'm going to have to get into the psychology of 2 different putters, taking out your 4-iron to put in a shorter putter.
Desperate people do desperate things.
Here's a Vanderbilt Commodore, Luke List, long-hitting Luke List. Speaking of effortless power.
9 feet tall like Luke is, you can probably pretty easy to generate some power.
Luke had a good run at Charlotte through the first couple of rounds. Didn't play well on Sunday. Look at that paw. That's a big hand.
It is a meat hook.
.160 yards for Vegas, who came out in California, the desert of California, collected his first win, and then he tore the labrum in his shoulder as well as left shoulder, and he was out for an entire season.
Flag is laying down. We're going to get to see some creative golf today. It's going to be fun. I like to see a little bit of wind, make these guys struggle. The first round was just too easy.
Finished runner-up when he shot 65 on Sunday at the Puerto Rico Open back in February at Vegas. That's the best finish so far for him this season. Five years is the current arrangement right now for TPC Craig Ranch. See if we can hear what they're talking about.
Sure.
Trinity Forest was the host the past couple of years, 4 seasons before that.
Killed it. This whole a tee box up 195. It was playing close to 200 the first 2 rounds.
This wind blows a lot in Texas, but it's bringing in a storm with it, Robert, that tomorrow is not looking good for the weather.
Yeah.
They try not to finish on Monday if they can avoid it. You would think that they'd probably get out early and use both tees, but if you're up towards the lead, are you thinking of approaching this like a final round almost?
I'm waiting for that announcement. No, you can't do that. You have to be prepared for. You have to be prepared to keep playing, even if you think that, even if it looks like Armageddon's coming and it looks like it's never going to stop raining. You have to be prepared to go out there until they tell you you're not, because you don't want to be caught off guard the other way with your feet up.
Matsuyama came up just a little bit short here at the 4th. Say hello to Parker McLaughlin. He's coming in with us just in time. Short game guru that you are.
Yeah, he's aiming quite a bit left here. That's sort of an old school technique. Let's see if he, a lot of times if you aim that far left, you drag the handle through. It's really hard to get this short-sided one close. I think he's going to be a little disappointed with that one. A lot of times if you square your stance up or almost aim a little bit right with those bunker shots, you can really encourage yourself to release that club head even more and get it to come higher and softer. He's going to be a little disappointed with where that one turned out.
Did you come up with your term? If you're just joining us yesterday, I was saying to Parker, hey, we need a new term because release to me and probably most of the amateurs out there is a release where the toe passes the heel and the club's turning over. But you're actually saying this is like an underneath release where the club is almost like a mirror looking you back in the face.
Yeah, it's a knuckles up, knuckles to the sky release. That's what it would be. The knuckles wouldn't go down to the ground.
Still not one word. One word coaching here. Come on.
You gotta keep it simple.
Long way out, Zalatorisd.
Just trying to get the proper speed on this one. And at this point, as the wind is starting to pick up, some of these long putts will actually be affected by the wind. And you'll have to sort of play that as part of your calculations as to how to get the proper speed.
That is what they're all playing for. The trophy. Really, though, just to be called a winner on the PGA Tour, the champion of the AT&T BryonNelson.
This is the 9:05 start time. On the tee from Gallatin, Missouri, Bryce Garnett.
Second of our two featured groups set to go. Phil Blackmore down with these two.
And the first hole set right back into the wind. There is penalty area down the right side, fairway bunker left. Pretty good driving hole here.
Shot.
Familiar sight right there.
Current U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau.
It was funny, he hit the remaining balls there on the range and he was leaving and he looked over and saw me. He turned around, grabbed an 8-iron, went and hit one punch shot and then turned back and walked off the range like he had heard what I said. I don't know that he did, but it was pretty funny.
He might be listening to our coverage as he's warming up there.
Different sound to that one coming off the club head. And a different result. Good shot, both of them.
He did it all day yesterday. It was quite the display of driving capabilities. Just smoked him down the middle. Matsuyama. Nice save from the bunker.
It's an unfamiliar sight this week for Hideki. Ranks close to last in strokes gained putting and dead last in shots around the green this week of players that made the cut.
What's this thing going to do?
Should be just a right edge putt for Will Zalatorisd here. Just underplayed it a fraction. Looks like he started it right in the center.
Matsuyama.
Good par 5 here. Very gettable for these players. Downwind with this south wind today. Yesterday we saw a number of guys hitting 3-wood off this tee. It's right on cue, Will Zalatorisd pulls the 3-wood.
A little bit curious play when you're 5 under.
Yeah, first goal is just to get it in the fairway. Staring at that like he may have lost it a little right. Needs a bounce. Oh, and that is no bueno.
That's when you say should have hit driver.
Yeah, if you're gonna miss the fairway, you may as well hit the driver. Yeah, that's one where you're kicking yourself walking off that tee. How can you play it conservative and then hit a bad tee shot?
Looks, Phil, like the breeze is just quartering back into the player's face here at the first.
It is. Will be interesting approach shots here. Garnett's going to have a pretty flat lie from 175. On the other hand, DeChambeau's going to have an upslope that he'll be playing off of into the wind. The green's slightly elevated, so that's going to add some extra dimensions to trying to control your distance on this shot. The hole cut today all the way in the back right corner of the green. So tough to get it back there near this hole, control your distance into the wind to an elevated green.
You see only about 24 yards of difference on their tee ball. They're averaging 44 yards apart, those two, in the first 2 rounds.
The distance is equalized a lot into the wind because the long hitter tends to spin the ball a little bit more, and the wind seems to affect it more.
72.
When you turn around downwind, that difference is going to be huge.
82.
Yeah, just looking at Bryson there. When was the last time he
Yeah,
hit,
just
he hit a driver 281 yards?
Big week for Garnett, 118 in the FedEx Cup points race, trying to stay inside that top 125, and that's short right. The wind has got it.
Not the start certainly he was thinking of. Over to Bryson, see if we can eavesdrop in.
I'm not able to hear what they're talking about. He's got 151 as the yardage. Plays about 4 or 5 yards uphill. And then the upslope's going to want to kick the ball up in the air even more. So let's see if he plays some sort of a knockdown here, or if he takes it right up into the wind. Kind of an in-between shot. Very aggressive for distance. How about this? Beautiful shot. Get it all the way to the back of the screen.
Yeah, that's well judged there. I'll leave him a fairly level putt. Interesting to see that motion. Very minimal wrist hinge on the way back and the way through.
Hit 3-wood, trying to find the short grass, ended up in the fairway bunker. Second shot forthcoming for Zalatorisd. He got a great piece of advice as a young man out at the Cow Club from Kenny Venturi. Kenny said to his parents, "This kid loves golf, just your job is to stay out of the way."
Very good advice for really any parent with a junior golfer or even a kid that is playing youth sports. Just don't be that involved. If they want to get into it, take them to the course, take them to the basketball hoop, let them practice as much as they want, but just don't be too involved.
You know, I hadn't heard that story, and I had a chance to talk to Will's mom at the Walker Cup, Los Angeles Country Club years back, and just happened to ask her, "Hey, what advice would you give to parents with young athletes?" And she said, "Stay out of the way." So it's a mantra now for that family. Matsuyama slashing away.
Just coming up a little short right.
The dynamic young player is Will Zalatorisd, and we were talking about his work with Damon Goddard, his physical trainer. Watch his golf swing because it's flawless in a lot of ways.
Take a look at his head right here. Watch it out of the bunker. You really want to stay still and sturdy with that head. See it move off the ball just a little bit. Let's see if it moves back into that circle where his head originally was on the way down. And then she moves back, which is why we could see why that ball went left. Anytime that head moves back, you release that club more through impact. Best thing to do out of the fairway bunker is really keep your head still, legs quiet, really have a nice, sturdy and firm base. That one obviously went a bit left for Will Zalatoris.
I wonder, you know, had long iron, par 5 going for it in 2. Just trying to help it up a little bit, make sure it gets over that lip, and you just kind of hang back. Oh, this does not look all that promising for Garnett.
He's got to pitch up high and soft. The green elevated above him. The lie wasn't bad, and it comes out pretty good. Excellent shot.
Really well judged. He made that look really easy.
Short game hasn't been cooperating all that much for Bryce this year. His 193rd in overall performance around the greens. See if Bryson can open with a birdie.
Spent a good 45 minutes working on his putting prior to the round. This putt should move just a little to his left. Somewhere inside you might be saying, oh, I came out and spent all that time putting and that one doesn't break.
Interesting he left the pin in on that one. We saw him, for the most part, inside of 15 feet, take the pin out yesterday and Thursday. And obviously he's taking it out for this 2-footer.
Parker, you are the short game guru here in the bunch. Explain something to me. Bryce Garnett is 193rd strokes gain around the green. He's 16th in sand save percentage, and he's 10th in scrambling. How does that spit out 193rd strokes gain around the green?
That doesn't make sense to me. And then you dig a little bit deeper, and inside of 10 feet, he is 90% for the year, 3rd on tour.
Right, he's 29th in putting. After all of that, maybe that's why.
He doesn't miss very many of those inside of 10 feet. He's only behind Louis Oosthuizen and Webb Simpson in that category.
We've been talking about Scott Fawcett from Decade Golf, who works with Will Zalatoris on his course management and statistical analysis. He probably, first of all, did not tell him to lay up here on the par 5. But we're going to have to get him on the case here with this statistic anomaly of Bryce Garnett's short game. That was a hard shot.
Yeah, 75-foot bunker shot. It's tough to get the proper distance on that. He had to go up high. He couldn't chunk and run it because he had that zoysia in between him and where the green started. Zoysia usually isn't super friendly to bouncing it in. Take a look at Hideki Matsuyama here. One bounce, check. That was beautifully done. He was able to carry that ball all the way on the green. Has some good contact on that one. Beautiful pitch shot.
Bryson on the tee at the second.
Good driving over here back into the wind. All troubles to the right. Taking a little lower flight with that tee shot. Tell if that got in the rough or not, but should be in a pretty good place.
Yeah, just snuck 1 foot into the thicker cut of rough. Looks like it's sitting down just a little bit.
Headed down the right side, needs to get going. Not a good angle and well back from, looks like it sat down in the rough.
He doesn't miss many fairways. He's one of the most accurate drivers on tour. So we've already seen a couple of hiccups here from Garrett rather. All right, here we go. Zalatoris for birdie.
Good speed there, but again, downwind par 5. He's going to be disappointed walking away with par here. Really got to take advantage of these par 5s. TPC Craig Ranch. Matsuyama just cleaning this guy up. Should be just inside the left. 2 feet 10 inches. Great worm cam here. Yeah, beautiful stroke. Hideki on the board with his first birdie.
Zalatorisd.
Those are the ones, boy, you just blink and you miss his backstroke. That was a very, very short backstroke.
Kind of a gurgling par, if you will. It's just in the fairway bunker twice, couldn't do much with it. We're off and running. Stallings here in just a few minutes. For now, though, it's Bryce at the second.
171 yards there out of the rough, back into the wind. Just try to get it in the middle of the green. And not a bad result from there.
How was this
142
lap?
for Bryson. While he was sitting down, this ball's jumped a little. It needs to get down. Okay.
See some of those newly sodded areas. Obviously, Dallas, Texas had some severe weather in February, and this golf course was not immune from that, and they had to resod a few areas on the golf course, but they've done a nice job of getting them back to playing condition. But we saw Bryson's ball just trickle through that little area that was not quite as becoming to the eye.
A captivating character in the game of golf, without a doubt, is Bryson DeChambeau. Polarizing, some would say, but entertaining, no doubt. Here he was, taking the Bryson line at Bay Hill. A big win. A man that he looked up to, he wanted to emulate in a lot of ways, was Arnold Palmer. You can see it on his face, what it meant.
Such an electric character, and he's in contention. Like you said, polarizing to some degree, but also trailblazing. I mean, I've heard stories of how he hits over 100 drivers during a range session, full out, and it's mind blowing, really, to go 130 miles an hour 100 times during a practice session. Changing the game, Bryson DeChambeau. Phil, have you been able to get up there and take a look at this? It looks like he's going to have to pitch this thing over that new sod.
Well, the putter's coming out of the bag. I'm not sure who's going first. Bryce is actually away, but he's got the putter, and that seems to be his tendency, is when he can, he putts it. I think if you're really good with your wedges, your short shots, so you would like to pitch this. This is one you could make. You just get it tumbling on the green, and the slope downhill, downwind will take care of the speed for you.
There's got to be
safe play probably to putt it.
Yeah, there's got to be some type of a lip there where that new sod is, but he reached for that putter really quickly.
Garnett first, and Ned, you talked about it a little bit yesterday, is the intimidation factor with Bryson hitting it so far. Is there an intimidation factor for Bryce Garnett playing with Bryson DeChambeau this morning? Maybe so. Maybe that's why he struggled there at the first.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a question worth asking. He's 180th on tour. He averages 287 yards, and then you've got Bryson, who hits over 40% of his drives longer than 320 yards. So, you're going to be 40 to 60 to, if not 100 yards behind him at times.
that. And the fact he's leading the FedEx Cup points race. He's won a U.S. Open, so a lot of things there to intimidate you. So this is very quick. He's just got to get it somehow to run cleanly through there onto the green, and the speed pretty quick once it gets on the green.
Let's see if that thing.
But you see that hop when he
yeah,
hit
it
it?
just jumped right out of the gate. Boy, he played it perfectly though. Sometimes when you know it's going to hop out of there, you hit it a little harder because you know that hop is going to take some speed off of it. But that's a lot of trust. Let's take a look at that one more time. Watch this ball jump right out of the gate here. Fully airborne. Doesn't even start rolling until about 3 feet onto the green. You really got to trust that that ball is going to take some speed off of it as it gets airborne. It was very well judged.
It's to settle the nerves. And it did everything but for Garnett, and you got to think his soup is boiling right now. I mean, the man just doesn't make many bogeys. He certainly doesn't miss short putts. And he's 0 for 2 in the first 2 frames.
Yeah, this is a big spot for him. He's tended to play well in the opposite field events. Obviously, with his win at Corrales Punta Cana in 2018, his 2 top 5s, his 2 top 10s this year have been in opposite field events. So this is a big moment for him, and obviously the first 2 frames, like you said, he's really showed the nerves quite a bit.